I'd like to call this June 29th, 2021 meeting of the Strongsville Board of Education to order. Mr. Anagnostou, would you take the roll?
Mrs. Bissell?
Here.
Mrs. Salee?
Here.
Mr. Micko?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
And Mrs. Hausen?
Here.
We're all present. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda is our district goals. Our district goals remain three: academic achievement and growth, financial prudence and community engagement. And as always, we make all of our decisions based on those three goals and balancing those goals. Sometimes they're in competition, sometimes they work together, but we try to balance them at all time. At some point today, we'll get a short update, but as far as academic achievement is concerned, we had a great, in my opinion, a great summer school throughout the last couple of weeks. Not only did we have traditional summer school, but we had a lot of different kinds of summer school to help kids catch up from the pandemic, along with makerspace camps, etc. And I know we had more attendance than we've had in any other summer school. We also had more offerings than we've had in any other summer school, but that's a great example of academic achievement and growth. Next on our agenda is public comment. So far I have two. Stephen McIntyre. Stephen, are you here? If you approach the microphone, your name and address, and you have approximately 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Steve McIntyre. I live at 13156 Fairwinds Drive in Strongsville. And I'm here to talk about community engagement. And I'd like to talk specifically about, more from a qualitative point of view, the fact that we're not able to use the new tennis courts here in Strongsville. They're always locked up, tight as can be. The tennis courts we have here in this community, the ones at the high school were built in the fall of 1974. They're pretty much unusable and have been for many, many years. The ones in the city, behind City Hall, were built back in 1975, and both of them are in pretty sad shape when they're almost 50 years old. No one locks up their courts like we do in this town, anywhere in Northeast Ohio, or even at my old alma mater, Bowling Green. They don't lock them up there either. We play tennis all over the area, a lot of us senior citizens, where we will play in Berea. A lot of us play at Highland, who have, quite frankly, a nicer facility than we have here. I mean, quite frankly, the facility here, I can make some, it's water over the dam now, but they don't lock them up in Highland. So every Thursday night and Saturday morning, I meet 3 other gentlemen from Strongsville. We all drive 20 minutes down to Highland High School and play tennis down there in the summer because we can't play in Strongsville. There's no way, what I've been told is that the whole idea behind locking up the courts and not letting the community use the courts is because it wants to be monetized, put on some kind of P&L statement. I think that's a fool's errand. Highland tried to do that. They weren't able to pull it off because there's just no way to do it. You got to look at tennis courts different than you look at your 2 turf fields, your baseball field with a grass infield, with your girls' soccer field, with your basketball courts. All these different facilities that you have, those are all team things where you can rent out your football stadium to, Holy Name, or you can rent out the middle school field to Cleveland Football Club or someone like that. But you're never going to rent out the tennis courts in the summertime. I've seen girls who've climbed over the fences to rollerblade inside of there. I've talked to other kids that said that they were there because they did get special permission from the coach to use it. It's like, is that how you develop tennis players? Maybe that is how we do it nowadays here. So I just, as I look at it and the fact that we have to, you must just take the nets down because no one's using them. The courts are always empty. They're just sitting there with nets on them. And we as, senior citizens would, you can't hurt a tennis court. You really can't. but yet, maybe that's a reason. I don't know. I know this is a one-way dump from me to you. I would just say that, you guys have done a good job. We've given you everything you've asked for from an operating funds perspective and from a physical plant bond issues as voters. The facilities here, and from what I can tell, the situation we have with the money that we're paying our employees and all that, we're as good a position we've ever been in, and it would appear to me from sitting on the sidelines, and you're to be commended for that. But this was the last piece of physical plant for sports that needed to be fixed was the tennis courts, and now they have been, and you did a wonderful job in doing it. But now you're not engaging the community, so I'll just leave it at this. As the first captain and the first #1 letterman on the tennis team back in 1975, I've talked to other alumni, and they just can't believe this is what we're faced with. We're now halfway into the summer, and we haven't heard why we can't use the tennis courts. We just know we have to leave the county to do if we want to play some tennis. So that's about all I have to say on this. Okay, thank you.
Before you run away, Stephen, what was the record when you were a senior?
My record?
Uh-huh. The
As
team
an-
record.
As an individual? I didn't care about the
Whatever you
team.
wanna
It was
share.
about me.
Whatever you want to share.
I was 6-4, but fortunately we were in the Cuyahoga Conference in those days. We played such stalwarts as Warrensville Heights and Cuyahoga Heights and people like that. So, but
It's
it's
cool that you're still here, and it's cool that you still want to play tennis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And next is Kurt Harler. Did I say that right?
You did, thank you.
Name,
I'm Kurt Harler,
address.
12936 Falling Water here in Strongsville. In the interest of saving board time, I've been asked to speak for quite a few of the people. I don't know if y'all want to stand up or wave or whatever. There are quite a few people here who are concerned about this issue. I also have some letters that I would like to give to the board. A number of people could not make it this evening and wanted to show their support for what Steve has talked about, what I'm going to talk about. Basically, we're here today to ask the board to review the policy that requires a $50 per hour charge for the use of the tennis courts over by the Strongsville High School. What we'd like to ask is that you revise that and put in a policy that allows any responsible citizen of the city, whether senior citizen, whether student, whether new resident, to get a key upon payment of a $10 or $20 deposit and have access to those courts anytime when the high school team or a high school class is not being held. I think you'll find out that most resources that the school district has are only in jeopardy when there aren't people actively using them. Those that are going to go out and climb fences, tag things, do stuff of that nature aren't going to do it when there are responsible people playing tennis on the tennis courts. If you think back about public engagement and education, one of the basic things that any school teaches is English, great program. And eventually the schools in America realized that ESL, English as a second language for adults, was a program that needed to be implemented. A great success. What we're asking you to do is to have a kind of tennis as a second life. You've heard Steve, very humbly waited until the very end to let you know how he had done on the Strongsville tennis team. But for a lot of people, tennis is the physical outlet. It's a very active outlet. It's a very social outlet, both for men and women in this community. Unlike grass, soccer fields, or baseball fields that need to be lined, tennis court surfaces are durable. They're like basketball courts. I know that the schools used to allow the use of the basketball courts at Center, for instance. Kind of hard to ruin a tennis court unless you're an outright vandal with a jackhammer or a sledgehammer and you want to do damage. Steve mentioned earlier that most facilities in the state, whether you're looking at Baldwin Wallace, Bowling Green, the Ohio State University, go Bucks, any of those other schools and all the high schools in the area allow free public access. I have no problem with those courts being gated and locked, But the simple fact that they are being locked down and not used at all is a very big waste of $553,000 of community investment money. And I don't think that that should be allowed to continue. Right now, we're about a third of the way into the tennis season. I would hope that sometime in one of your upcoming meetings soon, that the board will reach a decision. The right decision, of course, is to allow public access to those courts. And again, I don't think anyone in this room has a problem with paying a $10 key deposit, whatever would happen to be, sign up a piece of paper so you know who's using the courts.